Welcome to the program. I'm Andrew Wilkow. This is day two. Chicago's public school teachers went on strike yesterday over failing to receive a 16% pay raise. The average salary for a CPS teacher is $76,000, the highest in the nation. And they only contribute 3% to their health care and pension. Now, here's the shocker. Almost 40% of CPS teachers and officials do not, I repeat, do not send their own kids to public school. Here's a quote from the Chicago Tribune, December 15th, 2010. And I quote, "Middle-class parents started bailing out Chicago's failing schools decades ago, enrolling their own kids in private schools or moving to the suburbs. And as recently as 2004, a Thomas B. Ford Institute study found that 39% of CPS teachers sent their own kids to private schools." This is a clear demonstration of socialism is for the people, not the socialist. This makes a clear case for private or charter schools. You know, Barack and Michelle Obama never attended public schools in their entire life. Valerie Jarrett, arguably the most influential aide to the president, attended the University of Chicago Lab School. It's essentially a breeding ground for the elite in Chicago. It's where Rahm Emanuel sends his own kids, and before departing for Washington, the Obamas sent theirs. Rahm Emanuel wrote an op-ed for the Chicago Sun-Times back on June 10th, 2010. You know, he celebrated the fact that for the first time on record, Chicago public schools had a graduation rate of higher than 60%. That means almost 40% didn't graduate. And it gets worse. The Chicago PBS affiliate, WTTW, reported that 1/3 of Chicago public dropouts are on welfare and 15% are in jail. But that won't affect the mayor's children and their path to college. Former Chicago Board of Education President Jerry Chico was actually accused of pushing for the elite North Side Prep to be built near his home just in time for his daughter to attend. Now, he denied the allegations, of course. You know, most of our federal politicians send their own children to private schools in Washington. When Carolyn Kennedy made the attempt, as we like to call it, at running for Senate from New York, local media here praised her. They hailed her as a public education activist. But neither she nor her children ever went to public schools in their entire life. So I want to ask you something about education. What is an education? The acquisition of information? Learning a skill? A true education allows a student to acquire necessary knowledge that can be practically applied. That's not to say that education should be all science and no philosophy. But when learning doesn't advance one's base of knowledge or skills, then what is happening? Our education does play a major role in who we are and how we turn out and what we do for a living, even if we fail. The structure of education, a merit-based education, allows for failure. We learn from failure. It may teach us to study or work harder, or that we aren't cut out for certain pursuits. But the public school system nowadays doesn't reward merit, but consensus, collectivism. It lauds the individual for being the best at diluting him or herself into the group. Progressives have set up a system that puts feelings on a pedestal. They go on and on and on about self-esteem and then remove all the things that build it and put in place things like social promotion, you know, where you fail but you still go on anyway. Cultural awareness has taken the place of math, and gender identity studies just as important as science. If an education has such an impact on the future of a child, who would then be best to determine what is best? Well, members of the academic industrial complex think it's them, not you. Listen to this clip from a woman named Debbie Squires. She's with the Michigan Elementary and Middle School Principals Association.
I'm not saying they don't want the best for their children, but they may not know what actually is best from an education standpoint.
Wow. Parents don't know what's best for their child.
That's right. They don't know what's best. And what's best, apparently, is a system that rewards weakness. You know, for your kids, not the elites. Education is supposed to advance the student. Before progressives took over the schools, high school used to actually prepare students for either college or the workforce. Now, we have 31-year-old professional students who never enter the real world. You know, it's this definition of necessary study that seems to split many progressives and conservatives.